Hi, I'm Rita. Welcome back to my booktube channel, Life Worth Reading. Also, before we get started, I did cut my hair. My hair used to be a lot longer than this, and I did chop off a good part of it, but yeah, that's pretty much, if you're noticing anything different about me, that's what it is. So, as you may have noticed, it's been a while since I've filmed or uploaded a video. I think it's been like 3 weeks since I've been out of the booktube loop. And honestly, that's because I'm in the worst reading slump of my life. Just overall life slump. But I've been noticing a lot in my reading habits because I've only read one book in June. And I had like this whole ass TBR that I wanted to get to. But I just don't feel like reading. And also I just haven't had the time to film and such. And so I'm in a pretty bad like life reading booktube slump. But yeah, I thought that I would come back today and film a video. Alright, so let's get started. Today I'm filming the 7 books as 7 days tag. This tag was created by Daryan Reads, so I will leave the original video and the link to her channel down below. And I was tagged by Mafalda from Mafalda's Reading, so thank you so much to Mafalda for tagging me in this tag video thing. I love her channel and I feel like everyone should go support her, subscribe to her, watch her videos because she has pretty amazing content and she's such a sweet person. So go and do that right away. And yeah, I think that we should just get started with this tag. So pretty much this tag is like inspired by a trip. So it's like a 7-day trip and each day has its own prompt. The prompt for Monday is: a travel day is always so tiring, so name a book that feels like drinking coffee. I feel like this can be like interpreted in many ways, but for me, like I love drinking a good latte in the morning, and so for me it's just a very calming and wholesome experience. And so for this book I want to talk about Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. For me, that's just a book that's like so comforting. It's like drinking a coffee on a Sunday morning. It is so calming, so wholesome, and such a happy experience for me. And if you haven't read this trilogy yet, what are you doing with your life? Like, this trilogy is so good, and Act Your Age was for sure my favorite one, and so I have to name this book. For Tuesday, the prompt is: you just realized that you forgot something important, so name a book that was forgettable. I'm gonna mention a few. I feel like the most that I've read this year that was like so forgettable to me was The Hollow Places by King T. Fisher. It was a horror book that's like inspired kind of by Alice in Wonderland with the whole portal to another world and universe type of thing. And I do love horror books, and so I was so excited about this one, but it was just so disappointing and lackluster. I feel like I just forgot everything that happened, and I read it I think in May, or was it April? I don't know, but it was just very forgettable, and I was very upset by it because it has such an interesting premise. But yeah, that book was really forgettable to me. Also, Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power. I read that book last year, and it was very forgettable. It was very underwhelming also. Oh yeah, it was also like a horror like thriller book, and I was just so excited for it, but it didn't do it for me at all, and it was just very forgettable and just so underwhelming. And that's why I haven't read anything from Rory Power since. Wednesday is you go on an excursion, and so name a fast-paced book. The only one that I could really think about was probably like The Hunger Games, like the first and second book, because I feel like I just consumed that so fast. I don't know, because I feel like a lot of the books that I tend to love, even fantasy-wise, I feel like they're all kind of a slow burn and are not as fast-paced as maybe some other people would like. And so I feel like that's the type of book that I love, like more of a slow burn. I don't like the book that's so slow that it drags, but I do like, yeah, like more of a slow burn over just like fast-paced action in every page. So I feel like that was the only one that I could think of that I like read and I was like so invested in it, and it was just so fast-paced. I think, yeah, probably like The Hunger Games, but I don't know. I thought about this for a while, but I really just couldn't remember anything else. So Thursday is the most underrated day of the week, so pick an underhyped book. For me, that is Butter Honey Pig Bread by Francesca Ekwasi. I will never stop talking about this book. I read this book in April, and it's like at the top of my favorite reads so far this year, and it's so underrated. Not a lot of people have read it, and it's so good. You have to give it a try. It's about, oh my god, I just realized that I didn't give synopsis to any of the books. Okay, let's just forget about that. But this book is like a family, an intergenerational story with a family from Lagos, Nigeria. And it is just so interesting. It's about this mother and her twin daughters, and the twin daughters grow apart because of something traumatic that happened in their childhood. And it was just so incredible. Like, I love intergenerational stories. I love a good old literary fiction, and it was just so well written. It was such a beautiful story, and I feel like not a lot of people have read it yet. So if you find the premise interesting, and look at the cover is gorgeous. If any of this appeals to you, do read it because it is so good. It has great sapphic representation as well, and it's just, it's such an amazing book. I haven't stopped thinking about it, and I will scream about it till the end of the year and forever to come until everybody picks it up. Friday is you go out to like a celebratory dinner, and so name a book with food on the cover. And I had to search high and low for a book that had food on the cover because I feel like this is the only one that I own and the only one that I've read with food on the cover. And that is The Sudden Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I read this book summer last year, and I actually really want to reread it this summer because I really love this book. This was the only book that I've ever read by Grady Hendrix, but I had so much fun, and this is a slow burn. So this book is about a group of suburban moms in the South that are trying to fight this evil vampire that has moved into the neighborhood, but he is like this charming man type, and nobody actually believes that he's a vampire except for our main character, Patricia. And so she has to convince the other women in her book club to fight off this vampire and to convince them that this man is evil. And despite having like this really fun, horrifying premise, it actually has a lot of great depth within it, because there's a lot of talk about how kids in wider, wealthier neighborhoods are more protected than kids in lower income neighborhoods, and how people like kids of color have less protection and are more at risk for like outside risks, or like outside, I'm trying to remember the word, wait. Like, they're just overall less safe. And obviously, like, this is a like an allegory because there's no such thing as a vampire attacking kids in sad neighborhoods, but it's obviously like an allegory for other types of risks and other types of dangers that these kids are exposed to. So this is just an overall like really fun story. It's more of a slow burn. Like, towards the end it gets a little more fast paced, but it's like it like stretches over a few years, so it's also more of a slow burn, and it's quite a like a bigger horror book, but I feel like it's so worth it. It was so much fun, and I really love this story, and it just really satisfied me. So you should definitely pick this book up if you haven't already. Then the prompt for Saturday is that you don't want this trip to end, so name a book that ended in a cliffhanger. And I'm gonna have to copy Mafalda's answer because she mentioned The Catching Fire, and she was so right for that, because this is, guys, this is one of my all-time favorite books. I've only read this book in 2020. What the hell have I been waiting for all these years? But okay. And this just became one of my favorite books ever. One of my favorite anything. Just like one of my favorite anything ever. And so, I mean, the cliffhanger of this book, I've never read anything like it. I have never experienced like anything like this before. It was just so good. Like, overall, I guess that this was also like a really fast-paced book that I loved, so I guess this could also be an answer for that question, but I didn't want to use the same book twice. But yeah, like, this book is just, it's perfection. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, nothing. And it overwhelmed me so much, and this cliffhanger changed my life. And I'm sorry, Mafalda, for copying your answer, but it had to be said, and you were so right about that. And finally, the prompt for Sunday is you are sad that this trip is over, so name a book that made you cry. Now, I don't cry at books ever. I feel like the last time that I cried at a book was last year, and it was with The Librarian of Auschwitz by Antonio Iturbe. This book wasn't even that good. It's actually in my unhaul pile. I've put it up for sale on Trade Stories, so I will leave my link down below if any of you would like to purchase it. But like, this book wasn't amazing. It was, what I disliked about it was that it was a fictionalized version of the truth. So it's like, I feel like you either go with a nonfiction or you go with a fiction that's only inspired by someone's story, because like this is about an actual woman that existed in the war and in the camps. That's Dita. And it's weird to me that they picked her story with her name and are treating this like everything that happened in this book really happened in real life, when that's not the case. And I don't really like that. I don't like to have blurred lines between fiction and non-fiction. And so that's one of the things that I didn't really like about this book. But oh my god, this isn't a spoiler because it's real, like literally written on the back, but like this woman survived the war. Like she was liberated from Auschwitz, and she, I think maybe she's still alive, or she has only died recently. Like she lived until the old age, so this isn't a spoiler. So she lived through like the liberation of the camp, and that's when I broke. I just cried so hard when her and her mother were liberated from the camp. Like it was so weird. I didn't cry at anything else that happened. Like of course I felt sad and such, but I didn't cry at anything that happened. But then like the liberation hits, and I just lost it. I cried so hard because of the relationship between Dita and her mother. And I was just like, and then something else happened after the liberation that just, man, it just broke me, okay? Like that was the last time that I cried at a book. And yeah, because otherwise I don't really cry at books. So this was the last one that I did, and just thinking about it makes me want to tear up, so I'm gonna stop talking about it. All right, and that was the 7 books at 7 days tag. Just a reminder, this tag was created by Daryan Reads, so I'm gonna leave that original video down below. And I was tagged by Mafalda, so I will leave also her video down below for you to watch and go support. And for my tags, I always forget people when I try to tag them, like as I'm filming, so I'm gonna leave them in the description down below so I don't miss anyone that I want to tag. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I know that I've been away for a while now, but yeah, hopefully I'll be back more regularly now. And if you have any types of video ideas for me to film, or any types of video that you'd like to see from me, please do let me know. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want more bookish content from me. And I will see you in my next video. I hope you have a nice day, and always remember that life is worth reading.